times when she would suddenly feel very overwhelmed by thoughts. So what we did was I asked her to just write down those thoughts because she kept telling me that I get too many thoughts. I told her you write them down so that you can actually identify what kind of thoughts are coming to your mind. So, and of course, I told her that every night around this time, around 9 and 10, she should be doing the audio on ego strengthening several times in the day. By now, she was quite well versed with breathing awareness. So I kept telling her that even when she was attending the school or the classroom, she should always keep being aware of her breath. Many a times she was overwhelmed by the comments from her friends because the friends used to keep asking her why she is not in a good mood or why did she miss the school, why did she miss the tuitions. So this was another thing which breathing had always helped her. I asked her to stay aware of her breath. In the fourth session of hypnotherapy, I introduced to her the sense clenched fist technique. And this technique was the one which started doing wonders for her. In this, by then, ego strengthening had been completed for about 15 days. So after 15 days of good ego strengthening audio practice, and in between, we also had our personal session. We did this technique, and in that, when I asked her to visualize a moment when she felt very confident and happy in the past, she particularly went back to the point where, in a national event at Bangalore for basketball championships, they had won the semifinals, and she had played a very important role in that, where she had gained three baskets. So, three times her team had gained the points because of her moves, and the coach was extremely happy at the end of the event with her because the last basket, which was very crucial, was made by this particular girl. She remembered this event, and I still remember the smile she had on her face in that trance session. And after that, I asked her to replace this every time that she felt very fearful and doubtful. So clenched fist became a very good tool for her. And after the end of the session, she felt particularly very good. Later on, she told me that whenever she was in the car going to school or whenever she was in her classes, many a times she would repeat this technique, especially in certain subjects when she felt she was more challenged in certain subjects. By this time, in November, the pressure from the school had started increasing. Now, what happens is when these schools, they also have their targets to meet. I think they've become those factories where they want their students to shine well. So, in a classroom of about 30 or 40 students, when the teacher would say that you all have to do very well in the class, she somehow always felt that the teacher was pointing out to her. This was particularly what she mentioned that even if the teacher was telling that you need to practice more in mathematics, in spite of her completing many a times the entire textbook, doing many worksheets, having practiced well enough, she still felt that the teacher was always pointing to her when the teacher asked that you should not be making mistakes, you should finish the paper on time, you should focus more on your exams. She took everything personally. She felt that there was nobody else in the class except me and the teacher, and everything that the teacher told was only pertaining to me. So, high expectations from the teacher. She already had very high expectations from herself. But gradually, when she told me this, we did a lot of other sessions of breathing awareness. I asked her to keep doing the clenched fist technique. And gradually, she stabilized over a period of about 10 days from these comments of the teachers. Now, in December, again, there was another test coming up. So, because I said they are monthly tests, at every test we kept checking what is going on. Now there was no blankness. She did feel that she was able to write the paper. However, she was not very confident till now. So I introduced the my favorite and the most famous ECC versus TTF, that is energy, concentration, and confidence versus tiredness, tension, and fear. This technique, because it was one very handy and it was very short, I think it really worked wonders with her. So, along with clenched fist, ECCTTF became her handy tools. These two techniques, I think at one point she told me that she was doing ECCTTF about 4 to 5 times a day and clenched fist about 3 to 4 times a day. along with the audio of ego strengthening. So all this together started empowering her more and more. The stress, which had peaked in November to 9.5, was now coming down to a good, decent 8. And this is by the beginning of December. She was still not, she was just starting to appear for the test, the monthly test. So by the middle of December, we reached a stress of 7 after especially these two techniques. Now, this time, again, there was this constant repeated thing that she kept telling me that whenever I sit to study, I feel that I will, I've not done enough and I will eventually forget. So she kept repeating the same chapters again and again and again. In spite of knowing it thoroughly well, she would keep repeating that. So at that time, I asked her that we would do a session, particularly for good retention and recall and the fluency for writing. The fluency for writing was included because the test was coming up very soon. So I said that we will combine all these three so that you read, you recall, and whenever you want to reproduce it on your paper, you are able to do it with fluency. At that particular point, she identified. So we both, I had told her in the beginning, but by now she identified on her own that every time the anxiety strikes, it's only because she's thinking of some imaginary fear of the future. What if this happens? I had told her in the beginning that, we need to keep coming back to the present every time we do breathing awareness. But now what we did is I gave her a post-hypnotic suggestion that every time she drinks water, she would keep coming back to the present. One of the reasons was also because the dryness of throat was one of the symptoms that she had described. I wanted her to overcome that also. And by now, I had figured out her eating and sleep patterns and her drinking patterns and everything. So, and I kept getting feedbacks from her family. So I also made it a point that she would drink more water, especially while studying, because she had this pattern of studying for 3 hours at a stretch without looking up. So I kept telling her that you need to keep drinking water so that you keep coming back to the present. And we also overcome the physiological reasons of dry throat. By now, the patient had stabilized so well that the comments from her friends had stopped bothering her. Also, the teachers, when they talked, she knew that some of the instructions were not for her. And even if they told her to perform well, because the teachers of the school, they had projected her to be the topper of the 10th grade. So whenever the boards are conducted, her name would come on the school billboard. This was the expectation given by the teachers. So by now she had easily able to overcome this also. Also, at that point, in a very calm, cool, and the language, again, the challenge for me was talking to her in her wavelength and in her frequency. But I also talked about accepting the result, whatever they come, the four outcomes that Sir always teaches us. So in a very mild way, I told her this, and by then she had worked very hard. So I told her that, you are a fighter, and working hard is more important than the results. So slowly and gradually, we were also preparing for any unforeseen incident if it happens. So we come to the month of January when the prelims were going to be conducted. Now, prelims are like pre-boards, and depending on the performance of the pre-boards, the school would give their share of 20 marks to the final board exams. So these 20 marks were in the hands of the school. Of course, they depended more on the cumulative performance of the student. However, the school always maintained that the marks in your prelim exam are going to be most important. So by now, of course, she was focusing very well with the help of ECCTGF. She was confident, but there was always this fear, what if the fear returns? What if during my exam? Because in her normal studies, even in the tuition test classes, she was doing well. But she had this fear that in that setup of the school, when I'm giving those exams, what if I go blank? What if my fear returns? So at this particular point, we did the metaphor of the car and the passenger, where I told her that imagine you're going out for a holiday with your friends and you're very excited. You have planned a beautiful holiday and you're going to drive the car for this. Now, imagining this for a 15-year-old, yes, I understand it's difficult, but she was happy about imagining herself driving the car. So I told her that all your friends are coming with you, and your friends are joy, confidence, enthusiasm. But also, there is one of the unwanted passengers called fear who wants to come and who will not nudge. And she didn't want fear to come with her. However, the fear said that I will come anyway. No matter what you do, I'm going to sit in your car. So now I told her that make the fear sit behind, sit at the last seat. And I asked her to imagine a long car where the last seat is quite behind so that the fear can sit there quietly and not say a word during the entire trip. Of course, any of the statements of fear will not be acknowledged by her, as she would like to have and enjoy the holiday only with her friends. So this is how, and the steering is under her control. She gets to drive to the place where she wants, and she gets to take every small decision of where they would be taking a break, what they would be eating on the journey. So through different metaphors, I explained to her how to overcome that fear. And the fear will stay, but it's right behind, somewhere where it really doesn't matter. With this and all the previous work, the prelims went very well, and she scored A star in most of her subjects, except one for which she was not very unhappy. She didn't like that subject at that point, and she was like, I'll cope up with it. It was computers, so she said, I'll cope up with it by the end of my boards. In the eighth session for hypnotherapy, this was just before her board exams, towards the end of January. Her boards were going to start around the 6th or 7th of Feb. So just before the boards, we did a visualization where again I asked her to visualize herself sitting in the classroom in the exam hall. They already knew what would be the classrooms and what would be the building in which they would be sitting. So very conveniently, she could visualize herself sitting on the bench of that class. She also, I told her that, she had an entire routine which she would do every single day. It included her prayers, it included her PCCTTF, it included her breathing awareness. All of this had become a small routine for her of about 5 minutes in the mornings. So I asked her to repeat this. This was also done during the prelims, and I asked her to do this during the visualization. Visualize herself doing her same routine again just before opening the question paper. So she went through all of that. And she had, so I did not mention the subject, obviously, but in her mind, she saw herself attempting the English literature paper. Uh, Now, there was this one particular, it may not seem to be relevant, but because I want to explain the further events, I would like to explain this. In the English literature paper, in the international board, they are given one question, which is of 40 marks. And that could be anything. So for 40 marks, they were supposed to write at least about 10 to 15 pages. And the topics were very varied for this. Also, the international board does not have a set syllabus or a very set type pattern or very set questions. So she was a little anxious about what if a question comes in which for 40 marks I don't know what to write. So she visualized herself writing the English literature paper and she visualized the questions and everything. And the entire visualization went very well. Again, the post-hypnotic suggestion over here was every time she held the pen in her hand, she would naturally feel very confident and her thoughts would flow very fluently through her mind and come out through the pen. So it was mainly for good recollection, good confidence, and so that she could write well. Ego strengthening, by now I had given her a couple of audios of the sessions that we had done. So she would repeat alternately the ego strengthening sessions every night. Also, because she was basically a very sincere girl, very hardworking, she made a very meticulous timetable and she stuck to it every single day, which was, I think, I would give all the credit to her own discipline about her studies, which helped her navigate through this situation. By the eighth session, just before the boards, the stress level had come down to 6 on 10, which was the lowest she had experienced till now from the time she met me. And then came the big day of the board exams, where it started in February. The stress levels by now, with her practice and sincerity, had come down to 5 on 10. It remained the same throughout the boards. So every paper, and let me tell you that in the international board, they had to give 14 papers, 1-4. That was already a very huge task for the kids. So even for her, she always kept telling me that I don't know how I'll navigate through so many papers because it lasted for almost a month. But however, she did quite well in all her exams. She comfortably recollected everything. She could write very fluently during her exams. Also, her fear had made her to over prepare because, typically these kind of students who are very intelligent and hardworking, they over prepare themselves. So the same chapter, as I said, she had the fear that she would forget. So she kept doing the same chapters initially, and then towards the end, though she did not have the fear, she wanted to be very well prepared. So she would repeat the subjects, she would repeat the tables and the diagrams so many times that she had extra time in hand, and while all her friends were busy studying, she enjoyed watching the cricket match. I think there was some national cricket match going on during that period. And she is basically a sports fan, so she would love watching matches. This had empowered her in the way that she realized if she worked hard and if she worked correctly and consistently with confidence, she had enough time to not only prepare herself, but also to enjoy life in different other aspects. Academics were not the only thing in her life, and the grades are not going to define her as a person. So I think this was one of the things which I was looking for when we started with the goals, and I was glad I could achieve it just when the boards began. So when I now ask her to read her diary, sometimes I don't, but she read it once and she called me up telling me that, I was laughing when I read my diary because I had written down what I was feeling at that time. And now I laugh that how could I be so stupid to think in this way? So imagine just in a period of 3 or 4 months, she developed the resilience to laugh at her own real fears. Of course, the fears were imaginary, but for her, they were very real at that time because she really thought she would not be able to write her board exams. She has become more self-reflective, and comments from others don't bother her much now. There were a lot of techniques inculcated in this. As I said, not only hypnotherapy, I had done a lot of other work with her. Every technique, I believe, was a thread, and woven together, it became a beautiful and strong fabric for her healing. And well, this is what she made for me. So, yes, this art piece is made by her. She gifted it to me towards the end of her boards because, as I said, she's an artist. So, she wanted to make something personally for me. And I was very glad to receive this. It's actually a huge piece of paper, almost this big, and she has made all this on her own. This particular case is not only about resolving the symptoms. Therapy can definitely do that. But the purpose of this particular therapy was not only to overcome these symptoms, but also to develop the inner resilience and the emotional stability in this patient. I wouldn't say that she has totally overcome her anxiety. The anxiety stays with her sometimes, but now she knows how to navigate through it. She knows, and she has developed an enhanced ability so that she can know her personality, she knows her responses to pressures, and she also knows how to handle those thoughts and feelings. So, more than, of course, we definitely overcame all the symptoms. Definitely, she did not face any dryness of throat, any kind of palpitations, or nothing during her final board exams. The only thing that remained a little bit to some extent was sweaty hands, sweaty palms. But that even right now, so she just began with her 11th grade, and she says that many a times when she is writing something very fast or she's really involved into writing, she does feel the sweatiness in her palms even today. So yes, I would definitely say that anxiety was not totally overcome, but we did give her a nice skill so that she could discover herself and develop her inner strength. That's all for my presentation. Thank you so much, everybody, for your patient listening. I'm open to any questions if there are any or comments.
Very nice, Pooja. Wonderful. You gave us so many techniques and she utilized each one of them in a
Yes, sir.
wonderful way. And yes, she developed a lot of insights about her beliefs and overcome. You
Yes.
made her more resilient. Hmm? Very nice. Good
I
case.
think her
Very,
sincerity really played a very major role, sir,
yes,
because
yes,
she really
yes.
wanted to overcome this because she wanted to study. She wants to become a doctor. She understands that just having so much fear for a 10th board exam will
Yeah.
not let her become what she wants to be. So her inner
Generally,
strength was,
yeah, it
yes,
is generally it is so. In
yes.
to my every client, I say the major credit goes to you only. That is there. Good, wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Pooja. I'm not on video because, but anyway, I feel so proud of you as a dentist taking a case where the dentists are normally used to treat the case, making people comfortably chew well and digest the thing. You made her chew her worries and anxiety and fear so well that she could digest it thoroughly well and got out of it really well. Well done.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. With various
Thank you so
techniques,
much.
as Dr. Alan said. Wonderful. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yogeshwar, she sometimes says that not only smile on the face, but happiness in the mind, because he's doing both.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, so that's my tagline that I design smiles, not only
What is
physically
it?
but also
What is it
emotionally.
actually? What are the
I
words?
design I design smiles not only physically but also emotionally.
Right. Good.
Very nice.
If there are
Anyone
any
else
other
would like
feedback,
to any
I would really
question?
be very glad if there's anything else, not only good things, but something, some suggestion which I could have used or something that I felt short of.
Pooja, this assessment of stress, like Likert scale type of thing, 5 out of 10,
Yes,
and
sir.
all this.
Yes, sir.
There are some good
Questionnaire.
anxiety scales available.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So if we utilize those scales and like for publication,
Yes,
it
we
will
can
give
use
more
it.
validity.
Yes, sir.
Some
I
official
will keep that in
scales,
mind.
standard scales.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
Nivedita would be able to suggest you. She must be knowing,
Yes,
or
sure, sure.
psychology students
I have
know
few,
about
yeah, yeah.
scale.
I have
Ah,
few tests can share
right.
with you. Sure.
So
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Yes,
good.
I'll keep that in mind.
Anyone would like to share anything related to Pooja's case? May not be, you don't may not have questions, but you would like to share anything which, resembles Pooja's case or something
Yes.
like that.
Acha, one thing, Pooja, you told in between that regarding her that question, lengthy question, 40 marks question, there is something
Yes, sir.
what you wanted to
Yes, sir.
share.
So,
Uh,
yeah,
because that time
I
I
forgot
thought
to share
that
it.
she might have got this topic
Yes,
which
sir.
she
Exactly. The
imagined.
exact question which she visualized, it was the exact same question which came in the paper with the same words and not so there were two questions, 40 marks each. She had both the questions and in the visualization, whatever she had written. So, but in her words, she said that when I saw that question paper in front of me, for 5 minutes I was only sitting and smiling. And because she was so happy that whatever she had visualized, and it was maybe it was the most probable question also. It's not some kind of magic, but sometimes it you just have these premonitions. And she faced the exact same question. She wrote it very well, and she completed, I think, about 14 or 15 pages. She wrote that. and she was very happy at the end of that exam. That was in her boards, that she visualized whatever she visualized in her trance, it exactly same came in her physical question
Hmm.
paper.
Right. I expected that because it happens sometimes. It is
I I forgot
age,
that point.
yeah,
Yes,
age progression and mental rehearsal, we call it.
yes,
So,
yes,
right.
yes.
Good. Wonderful. Yeah. Anybody else? Any
Yes.
comment? Any questions? Nidhi, some comments by you, Nidhi, if you are there. संजय,
Page,
आप कुछ बताओगे?
Yes, excellent, yes, excellent.
Right.
Excellent presentation.
Good. So I think we can
Tejveer
close
ji,
here.
if you could comment something, because I know that you also do a lot of work. May I
Nivedi,
ask you?
नमस्कार जी
yeah,
नमस्कार
Namaste.
hello. Yes. आप कुछ बोलो, तेजवीर, please.
सर जी excellent presentation and I was looking at the strategy which has been deployed. Every mind is a different, every emotion is a different, every person is a different. My strategy in this case would have been anti-fragility,
Okay.
and because the things were repetitive, they were changing the forms and the responses moreover repetitive again. So in my case, I would have woven a firewall for the support, and I would have still, I would say, if you get a chance, put in this anti-fragile design factor into it. And this is anti-fragility is a phenomena in nature. Every season we see spring and autumn every year, and this would definitely can be mirrored easily or modeled very easily.
Okay, so that kind of metaphor
Yes.
using
Ji, sir.
that. Wonderful.
Ji.
Mm,
Yeah, good work has already been done in that sense. There are a lot of documentation available for that.
right. Very good.
Thank
Good
you, sir.
suggestion.
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation.
Good
Thank you so much.
suggestion. Right.
Thank you for the suggestion.
Yes. Anybody? Any more comments or questions? Okay. So we close it here, Nivedita.
yes, sir. We close it.
You
So,
don't have any comments, Nivedita?
sir, as such, I'm at the end I do that, so I'm going to say that like.
Thinking, yeah, please.
Yes. So, Pooja, it was really a wonderful presentation, and I could see that a lot of work has been done in detail and step by step, so that is very important. And I was listening to the progress she was going, she was experiencing rather, was excellent. I mean, that shows that, how strong the therapy was working. And really, I congratulate you. And it was a
Thank
wonderful
you, ma'am.
presentation. The slides were perfect, like we were discussing in the morning, and excellent. Very nice. I liked it
Thank
personally
you.
also. And thank you, Pooja. Thank you, everyone. And I'm
Thank you,
looking
ma'am.
forward to each one of you to please present a case, at least one case in a year you present. Then also I will have two years ka stock in my hands. So I request everyone to please present a case.
That is
This
what I
platform is
also
for us
suggest.
only. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I also suggest you come out with whatever cases you've done.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Pooja.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you very much,
Nivedita.
sir.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, Pooja.
Thank you, Dr. Yogesh. Bye. Bye.
Good night. Thank you
Nidhi,
so
bye.
much.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.